Hi, it's Brian. Welcome to the awards contender. I'm very excited to welcome Cody Dericks from Next Best Picture back today to talk about some big ones. Like, we're talking the four big categories outside of acting, of course, at the Oscars, Cody. We're talking screenplay, director, picture. What is going to win at the 97th Academy Awards? How are we doing, Cody? How are we feeling?
I'm feeling tentatively okay.
Yeah.
Better than I was about a week ago, I'll say, or 2 weeks ago. Things have fallen into place that have made this easier to call in some ways and also a bit more complicated in other ways.
I think outside of adapted screenplay, which I think we can talk about in about 37 seconds.
Yeah.
The other three categories we're talking about in this video are not sewn up, Cody. There is a little bit of chaos here. I mean, picture, I'm feeling pretty good. Even though that's been chaotic and stuff, I'm getting a set, but director and original screenplay. This is not last year, Cody. This is not Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer, where there was nothing to talk. We had to come up with stuff just to get the video beyond 3.5 minutes.
Right. We probably are gonna fit. We probably could have fit last year's entire conversation in how long it's gonna take to talk about one of these categories today.
So, yeah, I mean, the Oscars are still, about a week away. But we've had PGA, WGA, DGA, we've had BAFTA. We have, the evidence we need, to figure out, what are we thinking is going to win at the Oscars? So let's get adapted screenplay out of the way, Cody. That one's pretty obvious, I would say, at this point. Outside of a total shocker, the nominees in Best Adapted Screenplay at the Oscars are A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Amelia Perez, Nickel Boys, and Sing Sing. So, Cody, can anything beat Conclave? Could that happen?
I don't think so. I think this is one of the easier races to call. I think it's just been kind of locked in for Conclave nearly all year, and I see no reason to predict anything different. Nickel Boys won at WGA.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's probably second place, but Conclave was not even eligible to be nominated there.
Wasn't there. If Conclave had been there and they went with Nickel Boys over Conclave, then I'd go, Nickel Boys is in picture. Maybe it could pull a women talking. Maybe that could come out of nowhere and win adapted screenplay. It's possible. But because Conclave wasn't at WGA, it was ineligible. Do we know why it was ineligible?
Guild rules. It's a union.
Okay.
There's always they have really strict rules in WGA. We see extreme amounts of ineligibility every year in both categories. This is not common, not uncommon.
So I think I was keeping my eye on could A Complete Unknown win an adapted screenplay somewhere? That movie is surging. It did very well. Maybe that could take it. Even though it's got songs and things I thought that might be in second place. Going into the Oscars, I do think Nickel Boys is second, not A Complete Unknown.
Yeah, the thing with A Complete Unknown is everybody keeps talking about the Academy loves this movie. Voters love this movie. Why can't it win anything?
Can't win anything.
Why can't it win anything? It hasn't won shit. It didn't win anything at BAFTA. It didn't win anything at WGA. It didn't win PGA, DGA. It's not going to win anything at SAG probably. So where are the wins for this movie that supposedly the Academy loves and is going to win Best Picture? No.
Timothée Chalamet needed to be entered into musical or comedy at the Globes. So he could have won that.
Yeah.
And then we could talk about him, because there is that Michelle Yeoh thing of she lost at BAFTA and Critics' Choice, but then she won at SAG and then took the Oscar for a movie that was performing extremely well. But I'm just I don't know. I think A Complete Unknown at this point, it needed to win something for us to really take it seriously.
It's been The Boy Who Cried Wolf ever since Oscar nomination morning with that freaking movie. Yes, it did very well at nomination morning. Yes, it did well at the SAGs. Yes, it did well at BAFTA. Nominations. This film cannot win anything. It's probably one of the few Best Picture nominees that's walking out of the Oscars with 0 wins.
Yeah. And I think at BAFTA, Conclave winning Best Film, that film's gonna win Best Adapted Screenplay.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, it's also the kind of movie that is reliant on its screenplay for its success. It is very talky, it's twisty-turny. Everybody talks about the dialogue and the plot mechanics. The screenplay is the star of the show here. And so I think it's very easy for Academy voters to go, amazing work in the writing department, Conclave, here's your Oscar.
Yeah. So, I mean, outside of a total shocker, I think in the top 8 categories, this might be like the easiest one to call, right? At this point.
Yeah, this or supporting actor.
We'll get to supporting actor.
Yeah.
But because A Real Pain is not in picture, I'm like, well, like it's not 100%. Maybe it's 99. I don't know. So yeah, Cody, I mean, it's going to be Conclave. Like it's going to Conclave. There's not much more to say other than our final prediction to win the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay is Peter Strawn for Conclave. All right, now we have a trickier category, I would say, and that is Best Original Screenplay. The nominees are Anora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5, and The Substance. So I don't know how you're feeling, Cody. I feel like there's a path for 3 of these to win. Anora, The Substance, A Real Pain just won a BAFTA. So we have to take that seriously too. I am leaning toward Anora. I think at the Oscars it might just be Anora, but I don't know. How are we feeling?
I am also leaning towards Anora. And earlier in the season, probably around nomination time and just before, this was my winner for this category for a long, long time.
Yeah,
and then
me too, for a long time.
The Substance won Critics' Choice. So I had to consider that a little bit. I think it won something else in the writing department. Obviously won that at Cannes, but I think at Cannes that was more of just a we want to give it a prize type of thing.
Right.
The thing about The Substance, though, is it doesn't feel like a Best Original Screenplay winner. It is not really. It wouldn't really be rewarding the dialogue. I think it would be rewarding the general concept of The Substance, which is a very strong concept. I understand, but Anora feels like more of the typical original screenplay winner here. It's got clever dialogue. It's funny. It's snappy. Great characters. Memorable moments.
Yep.
And we'll talk about this a little more later. It's probably your Best Picture contender, or your Best Picture frontrunner.
Yeah, but why can't Anora win more screenplay prizes? Like at BAFTA. It couldn't win there over A Real Pain? That gives me a little bit of, worry.
But, on the other hand, A Real Pain... So, you have to consider it like this. The 2 industry prizes we have so far, from voting bodies that share Academy membership, are the WGAs and the BAFTAs. BAFTAs went with A Real Pain. Sure. Let's consider it potential winner in this category. It's not nominated for Best Picture.
Nope.
Since the expanded era began, they have never, ever, ever given a screenwriting prize to a non-Best Picture nominee. It's never happened. A Real Pain was probably your number 11 in that category. Mm-hmm. If it was a nominee, I would say, oh, that could win. It's not happening. It's just not happening.
Okay. So, you think it's just 100%, that's not going to happen?
I have it in third place.
Okay.
If Anora and The Substance split and A Real Pain, we can have those types of conversations. I don't really entertain those usually. But Anora won the WGA.
Yeah. Without The Substance there.
Correct. The Substance was ineligible, which makes it difficult. But it shows that Academy membership, industry voters, like the writing to that film. Mm-hmm. Again, I know it lost the BAFTA, but so did The Substance. So you could say The Substance is as heard by A Real Pain's win at BAFTA as Anora is. So in that case, I'm going to keep Anora as the likely winner because it has an industry prize.
Yeah. But it's hard to say, oh, well, Anora won WGA. So I think that means it can win at the Oscars when Nickel Boys won, too. And we're not even taking that serious.
Correct. But Nickel Boys, I understand.
It's just kind of interesting.
But Nickel Boys is not your Best Picture frontrunner. Anora is. Neither is The Substance.
Yeah. I was like, okay, The Substance wins at Critics' Choice. I was like, man, at Critics' Choice? They didn't go with Anora? That's crazy. And then I'm like,
but then they gave it Best Picture. So
they gave it what is this has been the most insane awards run for Anora. It has been it has been so up and down. I don't know what to think anymore. I think it's going to be hard to correctly predict all of Anora's wins at the Oscars, exactly right.
I think weirdly, its most likely category to win is Best Picture, which is really weird. But then you have to start finding other wins for it. Yeah. And I do think there's a world where it could win just picture and writing. I struggle to see it winning just picture and director. That's tough. Picture and writing, that's an established path we've seen before. It happened with Spotlight. 10 years ago, I understand. But it's something that the Academy is not afraid to do. We have not seen just picture and director win since
decades.
Like, You Can't Take It With You in the 30s, I think was the last one.
Really?
It just isn't something. I think so. It just isn't something the Oscars do nowadays.
Yeah, I was like, okay, at the Oscars, it's not going to lose. Honora is not going to lose actress, screenplay, editing, but it wins director and picture. That doesn't make sense.
So it's too strange. It's too strange. And every year we have these like mini stats that keep falling. You know, we had, again, Spotlight winning just picture and writing. Everything Everywhere wins 3 acting awards. Power of the Dog wins just director. Things we haven't seen in decades, and the Academy nowadays is unafraid to do them. So, sure, maybe there's a world where Honora wins just picture and director. Just picture. I would love to see that. It'd be so fun. It happened at Critics' Choice, so it could happen. But I can't predict that at this moment. I'm just not at that point.
Yeah, like if The Substance had won at BAFTA, I'd be going with The Substance. I think I would get the sense. Okay, it won both Critics' Choice and BAFTA. It's like, you know, it is a very original concept. It's, you know, it's one of the big swings of 2024. She did such a great job. She's also nominated in director, so they might want to give her something. The movie's in picture, you know. Demi Moore, like, it's not a sure thing now that Mikey Madison is one actress. So I'm like, is The Substance like at BAFTA? At the Oscars, like, could it only win makeup and that's it? That just feels weird to me.
I mean, that's what we were saying for the longest time before it became a bigger contender, that it was just a makeup nominee or makeup winner. So it could happen.
I feel like The Substance wins too.
I still have it for Best Actress. We'll talk about it after SAG, but I still think it's one of Best Actress. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think, even though Honora has only taken WGA, that's like its one big prize for original screenplay. I think it's funny. It's been so chaotic from the Globes, like the movie just getting 0 there, just getting shut out at the Globes, to like gaining in strength at just the right time. I think getting PGA, DGA, WGA right, like during Oscar voting. I think Oscar voting started right when that surge came in for Honora. And then, I don't know, I'm just like, I think it might be close. Like, there might be some possibility there for Substance or Real Pain or something. I think it's going to be Honora in original screenplay.
You could also make the same argument against The Substance and say, well, it only won Critics' Choice, and that doesn't have Academy overlap. It's not an industry prize. It's a Critics' Prize, which affects the Oscars less than the industry prizes. So if you're going based on what it's won so far, if you're looking at just the individual significant wins that Honora and The Substance have, WGA for Honora, Critics' Choice for Substance, I heavily favor WGA, even though Substance was not eligible. Because, again, they both lost BAFTA, so that's kind of a moot point. And I think that only helps Honora. If Substance had won there, I'd be like, great, it's winning. If Honora had won there, I'd be like, great, it's winning. But neither of them did. So I have to go with what won an industry prize, and that's Honora. And it also happens to be our Best Picture frontrunner. So this is a hard category, but when I lay it out like that, I kind of go, well, duh, it's going to be Honora.
Yeah, if at the Oscars you're feeling pretty freaking good that Honora is going to win picture, I just feel like in a close race, it makes sense to go with Honora in screenplay.
It is close. The Substance is a very strong number 2, but I do think Honora takes it.
But here is the case. If at the Oscars, I'm going with Honora in screenplay. If they announce the winner in original screenplay as The Substance, I will be thrilled to be wrong. Like, I will love that. Because that is also one of my favorite films of the year. It'd be so cool to see Coralie Farja win a big, to win at the Oscars. I'm not going to be like, God damn it, Brian, you didn't predict it right. I will be just super, super happy in that moment. So I'm kind of like, whichever way this goes, I'll be thrilled. If it's a Real Pain, I'll be like, huh. I'll be like, okay.
Very
I guess
strange.
We just go with the BAFTA wins in this category forever.
I mean, it just shows that if a Real Pain wins, that shows the votes were extremely close. Extremely close.
Yeah, but as you say, it's very hard now with the 10 Best Picture nominees, like, to win an original screenplay without that picture nomination. That's very tough.
I'm not predicting that to happen until it happens.
Yeah.
Which I know is a catch-22, but...
Yeah. You know, if Honora was not predicted to win picture, it didn't win PGA, you know, it was just kind of floundering, then I'd say, okay, maybe a Real Pain can step up. But because Honora won PGA and DGA, and it's, like, very likely wins picture at least, I'm just like, I think... in a close race, it makes the most sense to go with Honora. So you're feeling Honora?
Yes.
Okay. our final prediction to win the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay is Sean Baker for Anora. Okay, now we have Best Director, Cody. The nominees are Sean Baker for Anora, Brady Corbet for The Brutalist, James Mangold for A Complete Unknown, Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez, and Coralie Farja for The Substance. So this is also not set in stone. This is tricky, Cody, because based on that DGA stats, that most people who win that go on to win the Oscar, Sean Baker, in a way, like that is the safest prediction based on that. But Brady Corbet won at BAFTA, he won at the Globes. Neither of them won at Critics' Choice, but
no, John Chu did, of course, obviously.
Like, I just think we can disregard the Critics' Choice thing.
Yes, we can.
But I was like, okay, if Sean Baker wins director at BAFTA, like, it's over. He's going to win the Oscar. But I'm like, if Corbet wins at BAFTA, I'm not going to say he's out of this by any means. You know, that movie has been, strong in some categories, like Best Actor, and it's like, in terms of like the epic scope of The Brutalist, I mean, that's always, since January, to me, kind of felt like the obvious winner for director, not Anora necessarily. So how are we feeling, Cody? Are we just going to go with the DGA stat and say it's Baker? Because Anora probably wins picture? I don't know. What are we thinking?
It's really tricky. Really tricky.
Yeah.
I am currently going with Sean Baker. I'm very nervous about it because, to your point, Brady Corbet winning for this category and Anora taking Best Picture, that is in line with what we see in recent years when there's a split, where Best Picture goes to the more populist film, I suppose, and Best Director goes to either like a brainier, more intelligentsia type film or a big technical achievement, and The Brutalist is both. But The Brutalist has been really struggling lately. The Brutalist has been struggling. It hasn't won it didn't win PGA, DGA, WGA, so that's tough. It might not win any SAGs because it's only up for one category with Adrian Brody. So it might be going into Oscars with 0 Guild Awards, which is tough. It won at BAFTA in the expected categories. So actor, cinematography, score, and yes, it did win Best Director, which I was predicting. Felt like the BAFTA type pick. I didn't see them going for Anora in Best Picture, Best Director, even if they went for it in Best Picture, which they didn't. But I do still think this is Sean Baker. DGA is a really hard thing to argue against, especially if you're the Best Picture frontrunner. In years where we've seen a split between picture and director, DGA is usually our guide to what's going to win, to what's going to be the split. Right. Where PGA takes one, DGA is the other. You just go with that. That happened in the Cody year. That happened in Green Book year. So when there's a split coming, PGA and DGA are usually good forebearers to help you predict that. That didn't happen this year. La La Land failed that, Brokeback Mountain failed that, but those movies had severe backlash against them in very specific ways that Anora does not.
Yeah.
So I'm leaning towards Sean Baker. I think The Brutalist, and I said this with nominations, is the kind of movie that people really respect but don't love. And I think it's going to struggle to win above the line awards except for Adrian Brody. I think it's going to probably take 2 to 4 craft wins and an acting win, and that'll be its day. And I'm going with Sean Baker, but Brady Corbet is very clearly a close second place.
Yeah, it's close for me. I have thought about this a lot this morning. I am going to go with Sean Baker. Not just because of the DGA thing. Like I do think that helped him a lot. And that it's weird, like he didn't win director at Globes or Critics' Choice or BAFTA. So it's tricky to be confident about him. But like they'll give the same person or group like director and screenplay that happened with Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's not like, oh well, if Anora wins screenplay, then maybe they'll give Corbet director. I don't think they think that way. But it comes down to I'm thinking about David Fincher for The Social Network and Richard Linklater for Boyhood. Both of those guys won Golden Globes, Critics' Choice, and BAFTA. But then a DGA, they went with Tom Hooper for The King's Speech. Yep. They went with Alejandro G. Inarritu for Birdman. Who won at the Oscars?
Exactly.
It was the latter two.
Yep.
So I think in a close race, I think especially with Courbet not winning a Critics' Choice, even though, sometimes we disregard Critics' Choice, I do think that was interesting that they went with someone who's not even nominated at the Oscars. There has been, a small sense okay, The Brutalist, as you say, it could probably win actor, but director, even though I predicted that to happen at BAFTA, I thought they would go with Courbet. I just think, especially with this surge we've been having, and because of the Fincher and the Linklater of it all from years past, I think it's going to be Baker.
I agree, and that's the thing is the surge happened at the perfect timing, right in the middle of Oscar voting.
Mm-hmm.
So I think right now, favor is at Honora's back. Is really compelling it at this moment in the race. Which when the race is this wide open, as we've seen this season to be, which is really fun, timing is important. Passion is important. And both of those are in Honora's favor.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so Honora could win how many Oscars for Sean Baker? What if it wins editing, Cody?
Could win 4. He could win 4, which is the most for somebody in one night since Walt Disney back in the day.
For one movie. Someone said it's happened for Disney.
Yeah.
It happened for Disney decades ago, but it was for different projects.
Right.
And
a bunch of different
Bong
shorts,
Joon-ho, Parasite won 4, but he doesn't take the one that goes to international feature.
Stupid rule.
As we've talked about, which is stupid. So Baker would be the first person in history to win potentially 4 for the same movie in one night. Yes. That's crazy.
And doesn't that sound like the kind of mini stat that the Academy is all too happy to break nowadays? Again, with Everything Everywhere winning 3, Power of the Dog winning just 1, Spotlight winning just 2. The Academy is all about shaking up norms and not voting in typical ways lately. I don't think totally intentionally. I think it speaks to the way that the new membership, the new international younger membership, is not as beholden to the thinking of the old membership. So you hear something like that about Sean Baker and go, ooh, does that make it unlikely to happen? No, I think actually that the Academy right now does not care about such things and is more than happy to do something like that.
And then we're introducing Best Casting as an Oscar category in a year, right? And then Honora at BAFTA won Best Casting, and Sean Baker accepted that. So he also cast the film. So if that was if Best Casting was also at the Oscars this year, he could win 5.
I guess so. Yeah. Jeez.
Let's just give him. I mean, can you imagine him waddling out of the theater with 5?
Right, like Beyonce at the Grammys.
But then I'm also we'll talk about the acting categories in a few days after we need to see what happens at SAG, which is almost here. I'm could Honora win picture, director, screenplay, and not win actress? That just seems crazy.
Yes, it could happen.
I mean, it could, as we'll talk about. We'll see if Demi can win at SAG. But yeah, I just, I thought about going with Courbet. I can see it well, he won a BAFTA. It's it's the biggest film in the category. It's just so epic, the $10 million narrative. I'm but I think Brady Corbet in a way is so new, to directing. He's not really been a part of an award season before. If he was a little bit overdue, if he had a really flashy film from 3 years ago that got into the Oscars and he's been nominated before, maybe I go with Courbet, but in a close race because of DGA, ultimately I am going to go with Baker to win director.
Me too.
Okay. So our final prediction to win Best Director at the Oscars is Sean Baker for Honora. All right, so the last category to talk about in this video today, again, we will get to acting very soon here. We are talking Best Picture. Cody, the nominees are Honora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. So, this year, there's been enough chaos this year, Cody, that if Honora doesn't win picture, it's not going to be the shocker of the century. There is a lot of there's avenues for a few of these films. If it's really close in votes on the night, I could see there being an upset here. Something where a lot of us go, whoa, because of all of the different wins in picture we've had going back to the Globes. I mean, we've had The Brutalist win, we've had Emilia Perez win at the Globes, Critics' Choice went to Anora, but at BAFTA they went with Conclave, which I still think Conclave might be in second. What are we thinking for picture?
I agree. Conclave is my second place, and all season I had this feeling that Conclave might swoop in at the last minute and do really well in a preferential and win Best Picture. Mm-hmm. But it's really hard to argue with Anora's ascendancy right now. PGA, DGA, WGA, and if it wins the SAG, forget about it. If Conclave wins SAG for Ensemble, then I go, hold on now. Things just got really tricky. Yeah. Because BAFTA and SAG versus PGA, DGA, that's almost equal. Mm-hmm. I would say PGA, DGA is a little bit more favorable. I probably would still go with Anora, but that would make it tough. If anything else wins at SAG besides Conclave, I'm probably going to be feeling pretty confident about Anora. Yeah. But Conclave is my second place.
Yeah, I'm not, when Conclave won Best Film at BAFTA, I was like, yeah, okay. I wasn't like, oh my God, this means it's going to win the Oscar. It just felt like kind of a BAFTA thing to do. Didn't All Quiet on the Western Front win there 2 years ago? Mm-hmm. And I think some of us
to win the BAFTA. I wasn't surprised.
Yeah,
it just made sense.
Some of us thought, maybe All Quiet was going to have this, surge of maybe that can win at the Oscars. That didn't happen. So
thank God.
It's so. I was thinking about it earlier. I was like, it's so weird how last year at BAFTA, pretty much everything aligned with Oscar, but then the year before, it was all different. In the acting
SAG
categories,
aligned perfectly. Yeah,
yeah, SAG aligned the year before. So I have to always remember, it's not like just because of last year, it's not like, oh, well, if you win a BAFTA, you win at the Oscar. That's not going to be the case every year. So, yeah, I was, if Anora had not won PGA, if PGA, obviously, if that had gone to Conclave, then I'd say it's probably Conclave. If The Brutalist had won PGA, then I'd say, oh, man, it's kind of up in the air here. But Anora winning that moment of PGA and DGA in the same night, I just think that, as you say, it just gives everyone, permission. That's our winner this year. Let's give it to Anora. Which, Cody, it's this has been really crazy for me because that's my favorite film of the year. And before Critics' Choice, I didn't think it was going to win anything. I was like, is this movie going to go zero the whole season and just get the nominations but not win? I thought maybe Madison could win at BAFTA or something, but I'm like, maybe it just doesn't really win much, and that's okay, that happens. But the last film that was my pick for the best movie of the year that won Best Picture at the Oscars was Parasite. So it's been 5 years, it's been a while, and it doesn't happen very often. That might be the only one. Oh no, Moonlight was my pick for 2016, that one picture, kind of.
it one picture.
Yeah, one picture. But so there was Moonlight and there was Parasite, so it does happen. So I guess the movie, it has, if it's my top choice of the year, it just has to have a one-word title. Then it can win.
Yes, like me with Oppenheimer last year.
Oppenheimer with you. So, but it's funny, in some ways it's more special to me, Cody, because it wasn't immediate from the Globes. It wasn't oh, yep, that's going to win. It took a few weeks. Of me oh, I guess it's not gonna and now I never would have thought a month ago I'm gonna predict this movie to win picture, director, original screenplay. I thought maybe screenplay, let's see. I felt like for a while it was going to be Brutalist or Conclave in picture, and then probably Courbet in director. That's what I was feeling for a while. PGA, DGA changed everything, man. Amazing how that one night.
I love that neither of us fell victim to the silly 13 nominations for Amelia Perez means you have to say it's the front runner.
No, we never said that.
Nope.
Yeah.
Never said that. And now it's definitely not.
It was funny, my reaction to those nominations, I never even realized that I kept hearing that title, but I didn't even realize it was 13. I was like, oh man, Amelia Perez, man, that got 9. I was like, oh my God, it got 13.
It's a lot.
Can you imagine just if that movie won picture at the Oscars?
It's not happening.
Everyone just deflating in the room.
It was never going to do well on a preferential ballot.
No. Yeah.
Play this back if I'm wrong. If this wins Best Picture,
we'll play it back. Yeah.
Great.
Oh, that would be a video.
But
that would be after the Oscar, my first big video essay would be how Amelia Perez won. That would be crazy. But
how Cody was wrong.
So if Anora doesn't win picture at the Oscars, you think it's Conclave that can do it? And we'll see what happens at SAG. If that can win SAG Ensemble.
Right. It's a very easy movie to like. It's going to do well in preferential. I doubt anybody places it lower than 4th or 5th. it's going to be in the top half for basically every voter.
Yeah.
But I think that's true of Anora as well. And going to Oscars with a BAFTA Best Picture win is great, but it is not always something that aligns with Oscars, definitely less than DGA and PGA do.
Yeah, I haven't seen, like, there hasn't been one big surprise win somewhere for Conclave at this point where I'm like, oh, you know, like I kind of expected, as you say, for that to win Best Film at BAFTA.
No,
but, like,
in
so,
fact,
so
the biggest surprise that's happened regarding Conclave was how it didn't do as well on nomination morning as we thought it would. It didn't get into director and cinematography, which we thought it was definitely in for. So it's hard.
Not in director.
Yeah,
at the Oscars.
I know we've kind of disregarded the idea that you have to be in director to win Best Picture nowadays because it keeps not happening.
Yeah.
But it does show that there is some weakness there. Whereas Anora, yes, it's only got 6 nominations, but I don't think it could have gotten in anywhere else realistically, outside of something surprising like cinematography. But it got everywhere it probably could have. And we keep seeing recent Best Picture winners, Coda, Nomadland, Parasite, Green Book, get like 7 or less Oscar nominations and still win Best Picture.
Yeah. So in our first final predictions video we did, Cody, on the technical categories, we predicted Conclave to win Best Editing. It won editing at BAFTA. But now I'm like, okay, so at the Oscars, Conclave would only win editing and adapted screenplay? Does that still feel right to you?
That's what I currently have, and that's tricky because you hear that and you go, well, then why wouldn't it win Best Picture? That's exactly what
that's the Argo path.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, 1 or 2 above the lines plus 1 or 2 crafts is kind of the perfect way to win Best Picture lately.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Anora has more in its favor. Even if adapted screenplay plus editing equals Best Picture makes a lot of sense.
Are you going to stick with Conclave and editing? Do you think it could be Anora?
I think I am, only because I have not seen evidence that Anora could win this category anywhere. Because what won a Critics' Choice again?
I don't think it was Anora. Was it Wicked?
Anora or Conclave.
Yeah.
Was it The Brutalist?
Was it Amelia Perez?
What the hell won?
I don't know.
Remember.
Let's see. Let's just look real quick. Just look it up.
I got it.
Because the big Guild Prize for editing is after the Oscars, right? Isn't it like March 14th or something? I read. Like it's like a week or 2 after the Oscars because of the fires in January. Oh, Challengers.
Challengers has probably won the most editing prizes from the critics this season and is not nominated at Oscars.
Not nominated.
Frankly, if that was nominated, I would consider it a threat to win because it's so obviously edited. But that movie foolhardily only got 0 nominations. So, you know, I'm going to go with Conclave here because it's the only thing I have evidence for that it could win here.
I do think at the end of the day, like the 97th Academy Awards would have been a better ceremony if Challengers had gotten into editing and score and nothing else, and then won both. The Oscars.
It would be my winner in both those categories. Easily.
That would have been great. But that didn't happen. So, yeah, I'm just, as we've been talking about, like, I think Conclave it's shown enough weakness. I don't see a last minute surge. So I don't think it wins picture. I think if The Brutalist were to take one of the top 2, it'd be director, not picture. So, like, there's a lot of titles here, but it's going to be Anora, right? For picture.
Yeah.
I feel better about Anora in picture right now than I do in director.
Than any category. To me, it's its most likely win, which is weird, but I do think it's going to win.
Yeah. Like, that movie winning Best Picture at Critics' Choice and nothing else was very strange. That was like,
very strange.
But I think it winning PGA, DGA, WGA, and even though it didn't win Best Film at Golden Globes or BAFTA, I think it's going to be Anora.
I agree.
So our final prediction to win Best Picture at the 97th Academy Awards is Anora. So that's 3 for Anora, 1 for Conclave in this video. So I guess I put Anora on the thumbnail, Cody.
Yeah. And that might be its only 3 wins. So
only 3 wins. All right, Cody, that takes us to the end here. We will have you back in just a few short days to talk about our final predictions in the 4 acting categories. But until then, this was so much fun talking about all of these top categories with you. If you can let our viewers know where they can find you online, now would be the time.
You can find my writing and podcasting at Next Best Picture and Awards Watch. I'm on every social media platform at CodyMonster91. And check out my horror movie podcast, Halloweeners.
All right, thanks again, Cody. We will have you back very soon, and I will see you next time at the Awards Contender.